good afternoon, ladies and gents, boys and girls, anybody out there watching. It's Dave's Friday update from Dave in the Shed. How you going? Just tell you what we're doing. Mainly about Sydney electric tram cars again. Well, the original Sydney trams. They've got these new things in Sydney. They're called light rail vehicles. A couple of years ago I referred to them as trams, and I got in big trouble. Sydney used to have trams. They were old, they were slow, and they apparently were inefficient. They jammed up the traffic and had all these problems. So they got rid of the trams, and now they have these things called light rail vehicles, which are modern, efficient and traffic friendly and all sorts of bits and pieces. So when I say Sydney trams, I mean these old ones. Those new ones, we're not allowed to call them trams. Okay? Just to remind you, they are light rail vehicles. They got rid of the trams. That was a good thing the government did. Government would never admit they were wrong, would they? Oh, we got rid of the trams. Now we're putting the trams back in. That would just be no good. But anyway, well, last week I talked about the LP maximum traction trucks. I've designed up some trucks that are in the style of the maximum traction trucks. And maximum traction trucks are one of these funny ones that they've got one big wheel and one small wheel. Now these, of course, they're designed to just be static display trucks, or bogies as some people call them, under the trams. They've sort of like got this flat top, but they're in the style of the maximum attraction. They were under the LPs. I thought they were in the P class as well, but apparently, according to the data, they weren't. Anyway, I'm redoing the LP. This one's a good one, but there's some few mistakes and bits and pieces, and I wanted to do it a bit better. So I'm going to redo the LP. A few changes. Now here's a O. Now I know you've seen the O before. I'm going to kneel on the floor so I don't shake the camera. So this O is the breakdown O. When the O's were being replaced in service and some of them were pulled out, they converted some into breakdown vehicles to actually tow other trams around and do all sorts of stuff on the network. So that's the O. Now also, once again, made up dummy trucks. These are trucks, bogies, whatever you want to call them. These are the bogies that go under O's and P's and a few other classes. Different bogie again under the R's. I've got an R class bogie that I've already done that will whip out. It's roughly the same as what I used under the Brisbane cars. But anyway, so that's a O class, O scale or quarter-inch scale breakdown with these dummy arch bar trucks. Look at these. Once again, designed them this morning. They look too big. But when you put the body on top, they're fine. And I did them off the blueprints, off the quarter-inch scale blueprints from I've got floating around. But anyway, I'll try and drop this on one-handed, shooting with the camera and doing that. Can't always do things. Hang on, stick a thumb in the road. So there you go. They're the trucks, bogies that go under the the O class. Stop shaking the camera. I really need to get a camera gimbal so we can do some stuff. Well, that's we're talking about. We'll slide this out of the road. Now, the R's. I've started doing the R's again. I've fixed all the bits and pieces. I did have almost a complete R, but one of the bodies I wasn't quite happy with. So I'm reprinting a second half of the R. So that's the R class. Now behind it you'll see the reprinted R1 in white. On top of it is a, roughly, it's a HO scale. That's my test print of the R, and then there's a HO scale R1 above it. So that's almost had a complete. I'll show you the printers in a sec. Almost had a complete R to show you, but one of the bits was it came out a bit twisted. I'm just moving around, So oh, finger in the road. Not very good at this camera game. Oh, there you go. So this is would have been a complete, but this one's got a bit of a, didn't quite stick to the bed. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a bit twisted on the back. So. Yeah, no, I'm not going to work with that. So it's like, the easy thing is, we've got the machines, we've got the artwork, it's just chuck it out. Start again. So that's where we're up to. Swing around, pick it up. I've got a big pile of bodies and half bodies I'm assembling to do paintwork. Now, something really big. Last week I spoke to you about a prison tram. The Sydney prison tram. Famous because a guy called Darcy Dugan actually cut his way using a can opener. It's a bizarre story, you need to go and Google. But it's infamous, the old prison tram in Sydney. It ran from the court in Sydney out to one of the jails, Malabar Jail. Anyway, Google that, the Sydney prisoner. Darcy Dugan, one of those, modern Ned Kelly in Australia. He was a bit of a modern day rogue hero, but he escaped from the prison tram. Anyway, when it was on one of its runs. Google the history on that. But somebody out there, and I did mention that I would, to this person, mention their name. They said, no, don't tell anybody who I am. They sent me the data files of what they were working on for a Sydney tram, the prison tram. They sent me the file. It was in HO scale. So you can see the blue version up there. That is the HO scale version. I made a few changes for it, and a few tweaks, and finished it and did how I like it. And then I printed one in HO. I've done it in O, which is my 1/4 inch scale, is down the bottom. Once again, waiting for machines to catch up to do the bogies. And also, because somebody else challenged me and said, oh, I bet you can't print any of this if you engage. It's not a great success. It was a test print, but that is an N gauge, or N scale, I should say, N scale Sydney prison tram. Now, there was a few little issues in that. I won't reprint it, but that was from the original 3D files that were sent to me, and I changed a few bits and pieces and printed. So the HO scale is done, and the N scale, but the O scale is I've modified the plans and done bits. But look at that. That's magic. And I will thank you, the person who sent me the data file of what he was working on, the CAD file, and allowed me to clean it up a bit and do it and print it out. Saves me doing it. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel, but isn't that brilliant? Now, when I was doing some work on this, I damaged the thing. But the glorious thing about 3D printing is I can just CAD file out the bit I broke off and remachine it and glue it back in. So it's ready for the paint. Going to have to, one day soon, I'll have to get some undercoat on all these models and start undercoating them, because everything at the moment is just in. So these ones will be my final models. These ones, they're approved. Same with these R's. I want to get these R's. These are the final models that will be on the display and print them up. Now, there's most of the Sydney trams only wore 1 or 2 colours, but the R's, there are a few variations. So I'll have to do a few. So up here is, once again, just recap, there is the O class as it was in service. There's a HO scale on top of that, because you can print them in O. There is the OP, which was the O class I built to OP standards. Now, before we go, I'll show you something else I was doing. Wasn't a great success. Where did I do it? Oh, you put it up here and knocked off. I had a go at printing up a trolley pole. Yep, in machine focus. Not a great success, but it's okay. It works. Probably better off forming one out of some bits of metal and doing a version of that. But there you go. Stick your finger in there. I did have a go at designing and printing a trolley. It's okay. Haven't actually fully cleaned it up. It will work, but might still stick with that yet. But there is a 3D printed 2-scale trolley pole for the 1/4 inch. Now, quick look at what's going on in the printers, and that'll do. Don't want to hang around the shed too much today, because there's a fire about 20k out the road from us. Pretty big fire burning. So it's a bit stinky, as in smell, and probably sucking in unburnt fire products. That's smoke for people wanting to go. Unburnt fire products. So printing here is actually the new LP, and you're printing it just in HO, because if it prints in this scale, I know it will then transfer to the bigger scale, not a probably in the world. So printing that in here, that's pretty nifty. So next week we'll be looking at the new improved LP. Probably have to do 2 in this scale, so we can have a couple set. And this is a replacement end for that R class. And where you can see it. So when I said I wasn't quite happy, so I'm reprinting the front. I print the R classes in 2 sections, because if you have one section go bad, I'm only replacing one end of the tram. I could probably fit it in the machine and do it as a full body, but the risk is too great, so I'm going to stick with this idea of doing 2 ends and doing it that way, because it seems to work best. Also, it's easier in the design stage too, because I only have to do half the tram, and then the rest of the tram is copy and paste. So anyway, have a good week, folks. That's your Friday update. Hope I didn't make you too sick shaking you around. Get your words out, Dave. I did rearrange trams a little bit up here, try and make things a little bit easier to see. So we've got the PR1s and the P-class set up there, so you can see them together. And yeah, well, that's about it. Once again, like and subscribe. Hope you have a great week. Any questions about any of this, sing out, let me know. Comment Comment's good because it lets YouTube know people are watching. Like these videos, subscribe to these videos, share them amongst your friends. And if you've got any 3D files you want me to have a look at, or any ideas on 3D printing, or you want to have a chat about 3D printing, shout out, let me know. Talk to you soon. Where's the red? Oh, there's half a red R, one of the R's. That's one of my early R's up there in red and white, because the R's were in Sydney. We're in red and white, so that's day. Anyway, talk to you later. Have a great week. Any questions, sing out. Till we catch up again, probably all going well next Friday. Goodbye from Dave in the shed. Hi there, this is Dave. To keep this video active on YouTube, you really do need to subscribe my channel, like this video, and also put a comment down below. Because if we don't get enough traffic, YouTube can just make it disappear.